Welcome back to Lighthouse Video Lessons, our second week on the coronavirus social distancing lockdown, whatever you want to call it. Um, Basically means that we still can't be together. And I've got to be honest, that is the biggest change that's happened in my life. I have been working from home for a long time, and so I'm used to for the most part, not being around people on a day-to-day basis. And you guys are my people. And so both the Lighthouse team and all of you kids, seeing you on Wednesday nights, getting to spend time with you, talk to you, hug you, pray with you, that is my social connection to the world. And so I really miss all of you. Most of you have heard me say that our mission here at the Lighthouse is helping young people find their way. If someone asks me, yeah, but what does that really mean? Here's what I would say. My friends and I have found that Jesus is the number one answer to all of the pain and the joy that you will encounter in this life. And we want to spend time with you so that you can see the difference that knowing Jesus makes, and so that we can share the lessons that we've learned in our lives with you. Sometimes that means patiently helping you learn how to deal with relationship drama or conflict at home. Sometimes that means being honest with you about something that we see you do, maybe something good, something that reveals that you're growing, or sometimes it might be something bad that we see, some pattern that we see you displaying while we're with you that somebody needs to call you out on. Sometimes it means coming to your rescue when there's nobody else to help. Sometimes it might involve teaching you something, helping you learn something new. Sometimes it might just mean pointing you to the answer, showing you where to find answers to questions that you have in the Bible. Sometimes it's just spending time with you. We really do love you guys. And maybe just playing cards or teaching you a new board game. But ultimately, as we help you find your way in the various issues of your life, we want to help you find your way to Jesus. Tonight's lesson is one of those where you might not see the point. You might listen part way and say, I'll listen next week, or no thanks. But I'd like to just ask you to not reject it right away. Think about it. Chew on it before you decide what to do. And maybe watch the first 5 minutes and come back tomorrow and finish. I want to start, like I often do, and ask you a question. I want you to think about it. If we were together, I'd ask you all to tell me what you were thinking, but we're not on live video. When was the last time you learned to do something that was new to you? Something that you were not able to get the first time, and that actually required a lot of work, a lot of trial and error before you were able to actually do it correctly, consistently. Maybe something that even required a coach. Probably the number one thing that people learn first in their life is how to walk. And I've never seen somebody go from being a completely laying down, crawling baby to standing up and walking without some falls, without some bumps and bruises. It's a process. That first step tends to be a doozy. But ultimately, hopefully, in fact, I know this is the case with all of you that come to Lighthouse because none of you crawl in the door. Your parents or your grandparents, your brothers or sisters, somebody helped you get up again and try again. They encourage you to say, good job. Oh, you can do it. You can do it. And they helped you to learn how to walk. Learning to throw and catch a Frisbee is something a lot of you learn to do here at the Lighthouse during the summer. We enjoy playing Frisbee and volleyball and other things. And many of you have shown up and said, I cannot throw a Frisbee. And yet, weeks later, after spending some time with us and us showing you the simple mechanics of how to throw and catch a Frisbee, you're then playing Frisbee with us. And maybe it's learning to play a musical instrument, or learning how to cook, or learning how to wash dishes, or learning how to order food at at a fast food restaurant. Life is full of learning. Most new things we learn because there's some benefit to us. We learn to walk so that we can move ourselves from place to place faster. We learn to play Frisbee so that we can join the group, so that we can play with our friends. We learn an instrument so that we can make music. We learn to cook so that we can be self-sufficient. Now, sometimes there are things that we learn not by choice or because there's some immediate reward, but because our parents or our teachers or coaches know that learning this new thing will help us as we mature into adulthood. Some things that we get forced to learn that will ultimately benefit us are learning how to manage your time, like how to get up with an alarm clock, learning how to get a job done, which begins with learning how to listen and following instructions, learning how to treat each others, learning how to treat others, how to get along with others, how to submit to authority, learning how to manage your money, how to decide when to spend and when to save. Some of these things are just hard to learn. And I'm guessing that some of these and many others are things that you've battled with your parents on. When our boys were starting school, we wanted them to learn how to set their own alarm clocks and get up in the morning on their own. And we tried various attempts at this. I honestly don't remember all the things that we tried, but I do remember most of it not working. Usually, I didn't hear it, was the explanation for the failed wake-up. And so we tried an experiment. At our next family meeting, we had them all the time, we presented a challenge to the boys, and we said we would pay them $1 per day for every day they got up with their alarm clocks, up to 30 days. And we said that if they made it all 30 days in a row, they would get double the reward. So if they did it every day for a month, they would get $60. Now that's a big deal. They were pumped, ready to get their cash. And the interesting thing was, the next morning, both of them got up right away, right with the sound of their alarms, and went on with their morning routine. It was like all of a sudden their ears were clear and their brains were listening, and they were able to do it. This went on, and sure enough, both of them made it through the 30-day experiment and received their reward. And of course, they unknowingly had proven that regardless of the day, they were able to get up with their alarms. So that was no longer an excuse that was acceptable. Today, I spent some time thinking about this whole idea of learning for a reason. You'll hear about it here in a moment. And wrote some notes on why I think learning is hard for most people. The truth is, people in general hate to make mistakes, and especially they hate to have other people see the mistakes that they make. Most people would rather stop trying than to keep trying and failing. That's probably the number one reason that keeps people from trying new things. Last week, you didn't get this video until Thursday because, honestly, on Wednesday, I was too afraid that it was going to be terrible. Now, you might say, well, that's crazy, Chris, but that is the truth. And it just took a lot of effort, emotional effort, for me to finally force myself to record the lesson. Another reason is people in general don't like change. Often, learning new things requires us to stop doing something else in order to do the new thing, and that just tends to be hard. Sometimes, the reward or the benefit of learning something new takes a long time to see. There's no immediate payoff. For example, most people can't pick up a guitar and a week later sound like they're a professional musician. Therefore, because it's impossible to imagine going from the I'm not able to make this sound like anything good stage to the wow, you should record that music stage, it's hard to keep doing the work necessary to get there. That's why, especially for music lessons, for most people, it's important to have a great teacher that helps you with every single step along the way and encourages you. And even when you make the slightest bit of improvement, reward you with praise and more encouragement. The way our brains work, if there's not an immediate reward, it takes extra effort to keep doing the thing that we are doing. We have to really be sure that the hard work now is going to pay off later. And finally, sometimes you just don't see the point. Whether it's something your parents are wanting you to learn, or your teachers at school, or your coach, sometimes it just plain seems pointless and a waste of your time. And it is super hard to motivate yourself to learn new things that you think are pointless. There has to either be a great reward for completing the training or a significant consequence for not completing the training. For example, studying for your driver's test might seem like a waste of time since you've already learned to drive. Yet most people study because they really, really want to get the license, to get the freedom that they want. And failing the driving test means they have to wait longer, having to be limited by others on where they can go and having to tell their peers that they failed. Now, you might be wondering, why am I doing all this talking about learning for our lesson tonight? Last week I ended the lesson with a challenge. I don't know if you remember this, but I said I wanted you to respond and that the challenge would have a reward with it, that we would bring you a game to your house, a new pit or Uno game, things that we enjoy doing with all of you here at Lighthouse. And unfortunately, that must not have seemed too appealing or interesting to you because only one person responded, even though I know many of you watched the video. What that told me was that I must not have presented this in a way that you thought it would be worth it, both from what you would learn and the reward that you would get for completing the challenge. Honestly, if I would have said, I have 10 PS4 and Xbox One gaming systems waiting for new owners, and I have a challenge that could make you one of the winners, I suspect I would have gotten a much bigger response. Obviously, I don't have gaming systems to give away, but I do want to explain a bit more and up the reward for this challenge. You see, kids, I really believe this coronavirus thing is kind of like a training session for what's to come in the rest of your lives. I'm not saying that we're all going to be on quarantine or lockdown for decades, but I do believe that this is not the worst situation that you're going to encounter, either in your own life personally or with the rest of the world. And the Bible, the instruction manual for life that we've been talking about for months, has a ton of awesome instructions given to us by the creator of this world, by our creator, on what to do when we face difficulty, when we face problems in life. The thing is, it's kind of hard to follow instructions if you don't know them. And just like if you learn to drive and never learn to change a tire, all will be good until you're out driving in the middle of nowhere and have a flat tire. You either change the tire because someone gave you instructions how to, or you have to wait until someone can help you, and that might be a dangerous situation. I want to help you be ready to face the tough stuff that you're going to encounter in life with confidence. I want to help you learn the instructions that Jesus gave us. Now, you might be rolling your eyes. I can imagine some of you doing that right now and saying, that sounds like work. That sounds like schoolwork. And why would I want to do more of that? And my answer is two reasons. One, because if you learn these instructions from the Bible, God promises that He will remind you of them. Trust me on this. This has happened to me hundreds of times. When I've been faced with a situation and right away, immediately, instructions that I learned from the Bible came to mind. This actually is something that Jesus said in the book of John, chapter 14. There's a quote from Jesus where He said, when I leave, I'm going to send you a friend. That friend is called the Holy Spirit. And if you partner with this friend, if you join up with Him, He will remind you of all the things that I've taught you. Now, guys and girls, that might sound crazy, but it is real, and it is a promise that Jesus gave us. The second reason is, and this might be the one that you're really interested in, is I'm going to pay you cash to do it. For at least the next 6 weeks, while we are unable to meet, every week the lesson will have some instructions from the Bible to go with it. There will be 2 options with every set of instructions. There'll be the $1 option, we'll call that the core lesson, and the $5 option, which we'll call the expanded option. What this means is that with your newfound free time in the next 6 weeks, you could earn $30 just by learning some things from the Bible. We'll be giving more instructions on how we'll go about this challenge, because I know probably some of you have some questions. But it's as simple as that. If you learn the things that we're going to ask you to learn, you can earn cash. Does this sound like something that you'd be interested in? If you're saying to yourself, there's no way I could do that. I cannot memorize. Don't let that be the excuse. I and the other team members will provide some help to you. I'm going to record some videos that teach you how to learn the way that I learned to learn, and we're going to make sure that you've got some help. So, who is eligible to do this? Anybody that's been to Lighthouse this year. I looked, and that's a total of 70 different people in 6th through 12th grade. So that means if all of you accept this challenge and go for the expanded option every single week, this is going to cost me hundreds of dollars per week. But I got to be honest, from my own personal experience and what knowing God's Word has done for me, it is worth it. I think it would be awesome. So, let me know if you're interested. You can put a comment on this video, send me a message over Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, or text me or call me directly. I'll leave all of that information in the description of this video. And just like last week, even though it wasn't a part of the lesson, I've included some songs that I'd encourage you to click on and listen to as well. I hope you all have a good weekend and finish to your spring break, and I'll look forward to connecting with you soon. Love you all. Good night.